Howdy, folks. I'm Angry Avocados, avidly avowing to avenge eviscerous avians.
I'm Amber.
And here are more avians for us to avenge. Why? What happened to them?
I mean, I don't know why you're avenging them because they're avaricious. They're greedy. You're avenging greedy avians.
Yes, or very hungry.
Or very hungry, I guess.
Yes. So, I don't know, maybe they ate all of the avocados and all I can do is thank them because now I'm the only one left. Let's get started. I don't know, Amber. I don't know.
I was just trying to do the AV a lot.
All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Exposing My Coworker After He Exposed Me? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I have been in a happy, committed throuple for about 3 years now. It's unconventional, but it works for both of us. I also enjoy posting on social media platforms that's more on the mature side of things, think Facebook, but for adults who like to talk about NSFW topics and post NSFW pictures, or not safe for work. My face isn't visible in any of the pictures, and I have never talked about my job on there. So I didn't think that it would even be an issue to work, especially because our job doesn't have any kind of morality clauses. One of my coworkers, Jake, a 34-year-old male, recently found my profile on this site. Jake has always been a bit too friendly, making suggestive comments and flirting with me despite knowing that I'm not interested. I've turned him down countless times, but he continues to not take the hint. He thinks that just because I'm poly, I want to be with him. Instead of keeping his discovery to himself, Jake took the screenshots of my post and ran to HR, accusing me of unbecoming internet activity. That could damage the company's reputation. I got called into a meeting with HR, and honestly, I was terrified. However, after reviewing the post, HR told me that because my face wasn't visible and there was nothing identifying the company, it wasn't their concern and was my own personal business. They assured me that no action would be taken against me and that I hadn't violated any policies. My direct boss said that the meeting was more towards me, that Jake was sharing my private pictures in the workplace. Even though I was cleared, I still felt humiliated, and my private life had been dragged into work like this. And I was beyond angry that Jake had tried to get me in trouble over something that had nothing to do with him. Here's where I might be the jerk. After that HR meeting, I was still fuming, and Jake knew that I was married and had heard rumors about him cheating on his wife with another woman in the office. I also had a bunch of inappropriate messages that he sent me, including some sent during work hours, which I hadn't done anything about until now. Instead of going back to HR, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I found Jake's wife on social media and anonymously sent her all the screenshots of his messages to me, along with some information about his affair. I literally found his profile and his mistress's profile on the same site that he said was unbecoming and sent her the links to both. I figured that if he wanted to dig into my private life, he should face the consequences of his own actions. It didn't take long for everything to blow up. Jake's wife confronted him, and now she's filed for divorce. Word spread through their office, and Jake absolutely is furious with me, saying that I ruined his marriage and made his life a living nightmare. Some of my coworkers think that I went too far and should have just let it go, but others believe that he got what he deserved for trying to get me in trouble over something that was none of his business. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, he had it coming. What he did was completely inappropriate. It seems like because OP wouldn't be intimate with him, he wanted her punished, and that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife deserves to know that he's a cheating jerk.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I really fault OP for is not reporting Jake to HR sooner and not sending this information to the wife sooner, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't necessarily fault OP for not reporting it to HR sooner. I don't know what the company workplace is like and if she would have felt comfortable with it. So I don't want to, shame people. I think now is a great time to report to HR because I'm afraid he might become vindictive.
Well, and I mean, the thing is, like, I understand why OP wouldn't necessarily want to share this with HR, right? And I'm not victim blaming OP, but I think that they really needed to go forward and talk to HR about his behavior here, because likely this OP isn't the first or last person that he is going to sexually harass in the workplace, right?
Well, and that's true, but I also want to be very clear that like the onus isn't on OP to like be the one to stop it. People can be in difficult situations and just hope that it will just blow over and it's just like a, it's not it's his fault for being a bad person. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
OP's.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. And I mean, the thing is, like, it can be difficult to report sexual harassment and, fear the repercussions of those things. I still think that OP, it would be wise for them to go to HR and talk about this. As for sharing it with the wife, I mean, I think she deserved to know. I think she
Mm-hmm.
needed to know this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's a lot of good reasons why she would need to know. Things like STIs can be
Mm-hmm.
spread to her, and I mean, plus like the infidelity itself isn't great, right?
Right, and like, is he using household resources on
Yeah.
this affair? There's, like, it's not a cool thing to do. It's your partner. It's a very horrible thing to do, and so I feel like, regardless of the circumstances, she deserved to know. But like, there could also be other circumstances that make it even worse.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Sad Shoulder 4818 says, wait, if your face was never shown, how did Jake know it was you and go to HR with it? And OP replies, my tattoo is recognizable, but a decent number of people have similar one, so he couldn't prove it. And M. Jasso says, I mean, don't post anything on the internet and expect it not to haunt you. If you're doing embarrassing or inappropriate stuff on there, it'll come out. And this isn't gonna be the last time that it's a problem either. And OP replies, I'm not embarrassed of the pictures at all. My own mother has seen them. They're more risque, cosplays, and not nudes. And Big Bob C says, not the jerk. People in glass houses shouldn't throw hand grenades with a bungee cord attached. Still working on that one. Seriously, he tried to spread revenge pictures to make OP lose her job in retaliation for not letting him bed her. When you go after someone's livelihood, the gloves are off and the boots are on. And Olive Doggy says, don't let the grenade comment distract you from how pretty the gloves off are and the boots on is. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, my partner is a 30-year-old female tricked me, a 32-year-old male, into moving in. What should I do? I put tricked in quotation marks because I'm not entirely sure if what happened fits the definition of trickery, but it definitely feels like I was manipulated into the situation against my own will. So, my partner, a 30s female, and I, a 32-year-old male, have been together for about 5 years. We lived in separate apartments, but spent a lot of time at each other's places. I liked the arrangement. It gave me my space and allowed me to enjoy my solitude. I had a fulfilling job, a comfortable apartment, and a close-knit group of friends. Life was good, and I thought that I had everything that I needed. Before we moved in together, we had talked about it, and I always said that I was content with our current setup. I preferred having my own space and thought that it was a great balance. However, my partner kept mentioning how much she wanted us to live together and how important it was for her for the next step of our relationship. I grew up in a big family and I liked having my own space, while she grew up in a smaller household and wanted more togetherness. After months of her bringing up the subject, I made it clear that I wasn't ready to give up my space. I preferred our current living arrangements and was not interested in cohabiting. However, she would constantly talk about the future and how much it would mean to her if we could share a home. One weekend, she said that she had a surprise for me. When I arrived at her apartment, she excitedly showed me an apartment lease that she had signed for us. She had been so sure of my eventual agreement that she went ahead and secured a place for us to live together. My initial reaction was one of shock and anger. I felt like my wishes had been disregarded and I was forced into a situation I was clearly not comfortable with. She started telling me how wonderful this was going to be and how happy she was finally to have us living together. When I tried to express my discomfort and how this felt like a violation of my boundaries, she accused me of being ungrateful and unsupportive of her dreams. After an argument, she told me to move in and make it work or break up. I tried to reason with her, but she was adamant that this was the right step for our relationship. She said that if I wasn't willing to make this commitment, then maybe we weren't as serious as she thought that we were. We've been living together for 2 months now, and the situation is strained. I feel like I was manipulated into giving up my autonomy, and that our relationship shifted in a way that I'm not comfortable with. I'm struggling with resentment and frustration, but also feel trapped by the commitment I didn't fully agree to. What should I do here? I feel like I need to address this betrayal, but I also don't want to complicate things further given the circumstances. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I don't think OP is in the wrong here. It does seem like it was manipulative and trickery. Um, yeah, that's not cool. She basically gave OP an alt. She chose a place to live without OP's consent and like input. So this may not even be convenient for him.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you either move in or break up. Now, they probably should have broken up a long time ago because it sounds like they have fundamental incompatibility when it comes to living arrangements.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to live with your partner. And there's also nothing wrong with wanting to have your personal space. But it seems like those two things are incompatible in this relationship.
I think that she approached this in a very poor way.
Right, a deeply manipulative way.
Yeah, I think what needed to happen is she needed to sit down with him and say, look, I'm really looking to establish a relationship where we're living together. And that if you aren't willing to do that, then that's a deal breaker for me. And I think we're going to have to move on our separate ways.
Right, and that would have been perfectly fine without the lease with his name on it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where she went wrong. It's fine to break up with someone if you're incompatible. It's fine to be like, it's been 5 years. I saw us living together at this point. If you can't see that, then we need to go our separate ways. It's not fine to pick an apartment without your partner's consent and put their name down and be like, hey, we're moving into this place.
That's not even legal, I don't think, right?
I don't think so.
Like, I don't even know if this is legally binding in any way, shape, or form, because if she, forged his signature, then that's pure illegal, right?
Right, and if she just signed herself and told him that he was on it, then he's not on the lease and he can break it easily enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that OP has a lot of, there's a lot of issues in this relationship here. If OP is really happy with the relationship and really wants to be with her, and the only way to be with her is to share an apartment with her or live with her, then that's what OP has to do. But if this isn't a arrangement that OP wants or likes, then maybe it's time to move on.
Right.
And likewise, she shouldn't have even, done this to him. It's only going to breed more resentment, right?
Right. I mean, I think the best course of action for OP here is to start saving up and looking for a new place. Talk to the landlord about the lease. Find out if his name is on it. If it is, and she signed for it, then that is illegal and you can still get off the lease if your name has been forged. It may require police action, which may or may not be desirable. But yeah, definitely try to secure your own place and get out of this relationship because it doesn't seem like it's happy or beneficial to OP.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Kevin Rudd, 182, says, the only thing that she's right about is that she's allowed to feel like 5 years is too much time, so to speak. If you're not willing to move in with her, then she's allowed to say, do it or we're over. You should have run the second she signed your name on an apartment without your consent. She obviously only wants what she wants and is willing to do anything to get that, including not caring at all about what you want. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, I'm a 24-year-old male and I got my body sawed in half at a magic show. My 23-year-old female girlfriend left me and couldn't see a future with the man who's susceptible to magic. How do I get her back? I decided to take my girlfriend to a magic show last night. No big deal, right? Except I was called onto the stage, of all people, right? He proceeded to do the whole saw trick that everyone has seen before. I loved it. Huge ear-to-ear smile on my face. I even have a picture from someone in the front row. But right about when he was going to put me back together, I looked into the crowd and saw my girlfriend disgusted. I lost that smile. I lost every sense of joy in my body at that moment. Could this really be? I show an inch of my silly side in a moment of complete vulnerability and she's going to leave me? Well, I assume that she's going to leave me. As I was walking back to my seat, she stood up and tried to storm out of the theater without speaking to me. I caught up to her and I asked her what happened, and she screamed at me that she got the ick. I asked what she possibly could have meant by that. I was met with a scoff and how she couldn't see a future with a man who's susceptible to magic. Thoughts on what I should do? All right, folks, what do you think? Do you even believe this one?
I mean, I believed it until Brian pointed out some flaws to me. I was totally convinced. And honestly, if this is legit, OP, it may not be worth continuing this relationship. Like, I know you want advice to get her back, But if this is something that she's not comfortable with, it probably will not bode down in the future, and you're just setting yourself up for more disappointment.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that if this is real, that OP would be foolish to get back together with her, right? Like this is not a person who you want a long-term committed relationship with. If this person isn't allowing you to show a softer side or a vulnerable side, and that's the type of person you are, then this relationship is doomed to fail.
Right. It also seems like she's not even clear that the trick is an optical illusion, that he wasn't really magicked in half,
Yeah.
which is a little concerning to me.
Yeah. So one, I think that most of the time the people in the crowd who the magician pulls out are on in part of the show in some way, shape, or form, right? Like the being sawed in half. Those usually require like actually. I don't want to spoil the magic. I'm not going to spoil the how the trick is done
Yeah,
for
don't
you.
spoil it for me.
But let's just say that OP would have to be in on it, right? At least as far as I'm aware, to know to have this happen, right? And maybe not. Maybe there's a way of doing the trick where I can think of one way off the top of my head that maybe it might have worked that way, right? But aside from all that, I still think that it would have required him to know stuff, right? But then, have you ever been on a stage like with the bright lights and stuff like that? You can't see into the crowd very well. I don't know about this. I really just don't know about this.
Well, it depends. I've been on a bunch of different stages, and how well you can see into the crowd really depends on whether the house lights are dimmed, how far the house lights are dimmed, and whatnot. So that one I'm willing to give a pass on if it's not particularly dark theater.
Yeah, maybe, but all the magic shows I've been to have been dark theaters, right? But aside from all that, I just think like if this is real, this guy he's dodging a huge bullet, right? Huge bullet. Maybe that sawing in half dodged the bullet while you were in half. Who knows? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke over there.
Kim, why did you miss the plane? Jenny, I had to say goodbye to my pets. Kim, but you're 2 hours late. Jenny, I have an ant farm.
Oh, because they had to say bye to every
each
single
single
ant.
ant.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be the dog from the last from the last joke. And I have Mega Mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of a song.
He had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame.
There you go, folks. Vindictive. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.